where you began with building those blocks?
Sure. And a lot of that came back, like I said, I look at statistics, I look at spreadsheets way too much. And I try and find problems, and I try and find ways to overcome those challenges that all our businesses have, and these were tools that could do that. So from that point in time, I looked at other successful businesses. When I started the golf thing, I started following other golf courses. Let's see what they say. I'm not doing anything yet, I'm just following them. And I'm like, I like what you say, I don't like what you say. So I don't say what he says, I just copy what she says and say it's Old Homestead. Okay? You don't have to reinvent the wheel, you can just copy what's working for the successful people and see how they're doing it. Talk to them. I mean, I found Jason online. I knew him online before I even knew who he was. I found Ricky. I met these guys. They'll all talk to you. They'll all help you. It's not. You just have to experiment, and once you experiment, that'll help you define how you're going to manage your brand, because that's ultimately the goal. But you need to see what other people are doing, because I tried to stay away from Facebook for a really long time personally, and then I just recently said, if I'm going to understand this, and if I'm going to run it for my business, I need to understand it. I need to know how mobile devices are different than my PC at work. So you just got to get involved, and as soon as you do, you'll figure it out. I mean, you're all here for a reason, because you're interested in learning. So just try it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like Ricky said, you got to have a goal. You know, my goal was to take care of my current customers, cultivate new markets, and then you got to figure out, you know, what you're good at. You know, are you a better writer, or are you better, you know, doing video? You know, what's your strengths? And then I think, depending on your situation, you probably want to have one point person that takes care of your Twitter, takes care of your Facebook. I think you get too many people going at one time. It's probably, and I do mine just personally, but we have a marketing expert that we just hired at the golf school that's taking care of our fan page and our business page for Facebook and our Twitter feed, and everything goes through her. So if we send any emails out or any email blasts out, it goes through her. So there's no confusion with the message that we're trying to create, whether we're putting out a promotion for a new school, a new program, or trying to get feedback from customers. That's the thing, is if you just ask really good questions, you're going to get the answers that you want. That's my opinion.
With all of this, it's not a matter of if you do it, it's a matter of when you do it. This stuff is changing. Email. I don't know if I was even around when email first started. I was pretty young when it did, but email, people were scared of it. People were, oh, what's this email thing? And it's the same thing with what phones went through. It's the same thing that we're going through with social media, and it's here, and it's not going anywhere. 640 million people prove that it's not going anywhere. So with your business, and it doesn't have to necessarily be on a personal level, but from a marketing standpoint, social media is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I know that both of these guys have seen it happen. I know they've seen the success that is sitting right in front of them. I mean, Sarah had said earlier today that in 1 year, she had gone from like 175% increase in her lessons. That's unbelievable. I mean, she's more than doubled her lessons in a year from just utilizing social media. And the proof is in the content that's being generated. I mean, if you have one follower, that's one person that chose to see your content over the person that didn't choose to click follow. So taking part, and I'm excited to see where her campaign goes with just having started and getting into Facebook and Twitter and the grassroots efforts from it. They don't cost you anything. The tools are free. I mean, how much money have you guys spent on any of these efforts?
Flipcam and some software for editing, and that's it. Just my time.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say under $300.
Now, have you made that back?
Oh yeah.
Thousandfold.
And that's where you can see that it doesn't take anything more than, and the time, I understand time is money, but at the same time, 175% increase in her lessons over a year by just taking a little bit of time to post that content. To me, that says, I'm going to utilize these efforts and start today. I mean, just start using the tools.
And another great story is John. he told people he was coming down here. He booked a clinic down here with someone else. Made a nice chunk of change. I wish I did that. You know, he's coming down to give a speech. Meanwhile, he's making money the day before. He's taking it regionally, globally, however far he wants to. And that's something that this provides you an opportunity to. Although, you know, from a golf course perspective, I'm sitting at one location, I'm not mobile. You need to identify what you can do, because there's things businesses can do that John may not be able to, and vice versa.
The days of sitting back and waiting for the phone to ring are over. And you've got to go where the people are, and you've got to communicate with them in different ways. And the Facebook thing is unbelievable to me, because I don't know how anybody out there is getting any work done. Because they're all on Facebook all day long. You know, when I get home from work, I'm like, how in the world these people keeping their jobs, right? But they're there, and if you're posting content on there, then they're going to find you, and if they like what you do, they're going to tell somebody else, and that's the way, you know, that's the way to do it. So I think, you know, the new economy, the economy has helped me more than anybody. I love the economy went down, because it made me do something different. It made me get out of the box and stretch myself to places that I've never thought I'd ever go, and it's made me a better coach, and it's made me a lot of money.
So when you have questions, you're going to get stuck. You're going to have questions. Anybody that starts using something new that they're not used to is going to have issues. You're going to need to know how to do this or how to do that or how not to do this. What do you do when you get stuck? Well, ask your networks. You're on Twitter. There are people on Twitter. We're all on Twitter. Ask us. Follow us. Engage with us. Engage with the audience that already exists. Find out if you have a question that's about Twitter. Chances are, by asking Twitter, someone that's following you is going to know the answer to the question that you have. Ask your friends and family. They're probably on Twitter. They're probably on Facebook. Just ask people that are utilizing these tools how to help get you through the things that you have questions about. Enlist an expert. Ask somebody that's already been there, that's seen that, that's got that experience, that can get you over that hump of, well, I've only got 15 followers and I can't figure out how to get more. Well, you haven't posted a tweet in 13 days. Well, why not? Well, that's all stuff that you can learn by just enlisting in someone that's got the experience with these tools to be able to help get you through that. Experiment with the tool. There's no better way than learning how to use a tool than using the tool. I mean, when I first started talking to him, I am not on Facebook, no. Now he's all over because he's seen the value, he's turned that into revenue, and he just dug in and started using the tool. You can't break Twitter. You're not going to break the service by using the service. Yes, you can break your brand by posting content that isn't relevant to what you're trying to say, but we're all smarter than that. You're not going to post something that has nothing to do with your brand. And now, granted, he's posting stuff about Michael Vick, but I'm sure he's doing it in a very professional manner that makes him not look like he's the biggest Michael Vick fan in the world. And if all that fails, just forget everything that we've said, because it's all going to change tomorrow anyway. This stuff changes so quickly that this same conversation will not be the same 6 months from now, 12 months from now, because the stuff does change constantly. So take the time to dig in, get your feet wet, and figure out how to use these tools, and ask questions that you don't understand to get to the result that leads all the way back, that brings us full circle to the goals that you have when you start this campaign. Anything else from you guys?
If you don't know how to do something, somebody's made a YouTube video about it. Yeah. I'm telling you, the simplest things. If you don't know how to put something together, somebody's made a video about it.
So if you're not marketing to X and Y, and your customer base is A, B, C, or T, Facebook, I mean, wouldn't you use LinkedIn as opposed to something like
Fastest growing segment in Facebook is the seniors. Fastest growing segment.
55 to 65-year-old men is the fastest growing Facebook demographic. I'm blaming that on their wives who are already on Facebook.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
So then differentiate LinkedIn with Facebook.
You can they're totally separate, the way Facebook and Twitter are separate, but you can kind of look at LinkedIn as like a Facebook on steroids. It's kind of a professional-based Facebook. It allows you to post status updates, you can post links and pictures and videos and all that stuff. But LinkedIn is more geared towards the professional environment. And like, for instance, on my Facebook page, I'll connect with anybody because I have a goal in mind to increase site traffic So I want anybody and everybody to see the content. On LinkedIn, if I don't know you, we're not going to be connected. If I've worked with you or if you're a personal friend of mine, I'll connect with you on LinkedIn. But that's the only way that I'm going to share that information with you. I've got my blog feed that goes to my LinkedIn. It's like an online resume at that point. That you can see who I've worked with, what I've done, my experience, the awards I've won. All of that stuff sits there stagnant. There's not a lot you can do with continuously updating that outside of the status update. But you can kind of look at LinkedIn as like a professional-based Facebook. So if you've got that demographic, if the people you're relating to are on LinkedIn more than they're on Facebook, absolutely. That's just another one of those tools that's available to you. Again, it's free to use. Do you have a LinkedIn account now, currently?
Same situation with
Yeah.
that in the Facebook. I mean, I have so many invitations to participate, and
Sure.
I don't know whether I'm getting into a situation where it's just I'm gonna spend all my time on, with Facebook or LinkedIn.
You could. You absolutely could. You can be successful with 30 minutes a day. There is nothing stopping you from putting 20 to 30 minutes a day into a campaign with Facebook, Twitter, and all this. You can be successful. You can be just as, if not more, with an hour a day, or 5 hours a day. I probably put about 8 hours a day into my total campaign. I'm also not like any other user in the building, but
So do you capture with Facebook and then direct to LinkedIn? Is that a strategy?
it is, and I suggest against it. I think that they should each be kept totally separate, and he said something earlier that's going to make me have to yell, actually have in my notes, yell at Justin. Because he said something about posting the same message to all accounts at the same time. Yes, that's an option, and yeah, that is a strategy that you can use. I suggest using that strategy in the very beginning, just to start building your numbers, to make sure you're getting those connections to be built up from the ground up. And then, because you can say the same thing and say it differently. So on Facebook, you have 420 characters of space to say something. On Twitter, you have 140. On LinkedIn, you have, I think it's 360. So you have to reword it to say the same thing differently. I would say the same thing in all three places, but because of my restrictions, say it differently to fit that limitation. And that way you're not, if I'm connected with you on LinkedIn, I follow you on Twitter, and we're friends on Facebook, and you say the same thing all the time on all accounts, why am I connected with you everywhere? I could just be connected with you on one of them if you're saying the same thing always. So that is an option to utilize, and I suggest utilizing that in the first 6 to 12 months of your campaign for that very reason.
So do you have a different strategy for each one of the portals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They are all run, the concept is the same. The engagement, building communication, and the push of the message and the engagement that you create is the same. But the how-tos, and just like I was mentioning to him, 1 to 3 messages a day total on Facebook versus 15 to 25 on Twitter. When I say that, I don't mean pushed content. I mean, I send a message, I then reply to a message or two, or I like something. If you go onto Facebook and you post a message that says the sun is up and the course is in great shape, you like something that another one of your members said, and you send an email to somebody on Facebook, that's 3 messages. And that all comes in the campaign itself, and the how-tos, and how you actually run the campaign on a daily basis. I've posted over 48,000 messages on one Twitter account that I run. Out of that, over 86% of those messages are replies. So I'm creating conversation with people. I'm going and asking questions and or replying to questions, and I'm not just pushing all that content. And that's why my followers, in your case, talking about that, they're not leaving because they're not seeing everything I say. I'd venture to say, if I push anything, it's 3 or 5 a day, just because I'm interested in that engagement that I'm building. So, and that every single person in this room could run their campaign completely separate and get the same results through the same tools, because you can't use the tools differently. It's just the content that you're creating could be different. Any more questions? That's the best part of this question.
So, let me ask you, on the campaigns you're running, how much time during the week are you allocating to spending with your video camera? How are you allocating your time for your different campaigns?
I don't utilize a lot of video myself, and he could probably answer that a little bit better from his personal.
I mean, it depends on the time of year for me. Obviously, the winter time, it's slower for my business. I'll shoot a lot